Today we're making a great snack food. This is fried pork pies. It comes from Spain, the influence of the empanada, and it's found throughout the Caribbean. It may be baked, it may be fried, it may have a sweet filling, it may have a savory filling. Today we're focusing on pork pies, and what makes it Caribbean is that we've added yuca or cassava along with some traditional seasonings to it that make it a truly Caribbean taste. In addition to that, we have a mango sauce, which is just fresh, ripe mangoes that have a little acidity and sweet added to it, and clean flavors coming out, cutting through that little fat with the pork. You can't get better than that. Bon appetit. To the blender, we're adding fresh mango puree. It's a nice ripe mango. You just basically take the pulp, put it in the blender, and then strain it. So this is nice and fine. Why we do this is because we don't want the mango threads to be up in our teeth. We're gonna add some salt, some garlic, fresh lime juice, a little bit of vinegar, and a little bit of honey. We're going to start with flour that is pre-sifted. I'm going to next add some sugar. I am going to add my yeast, baking powder, a little bit of salt, butter. What we're doing is with your fingertips, which we call the rub-in method, you're just very gently using this type of motion, constantly allowing the butter to be broken down into tinier pieces. You know, it's important, the reason why we're using the tips of our fingers, we're going to finish with a little bit of water. We make a well in the center. It's important that you don't do a quick pour because then you will end up with a very wet or soggy dough. We just want to be able to bind all of these wonderful ingredients together. So it's starting to come in nicely. I don't want to overwork it too much. And as it's coming together nicely in the bowl, I'm going to turn it over and just knead very, very lightly for just a couple of minutes, okay? So as you can see in the bowl, the pie dough, it's ready when you see everything has come together nicely. And this same technique will happen in a food processor. As the blades wind, everything is going to come together nicely. And we're not going to over knead the dough. We're just kind of allowing everything to come together. So just a little kneading, a light kneading going on, just for a couple minutes, just to allow everything to come together. So after you've just gently kneaded it, you want to let it rest. Cover with a damp cloth and let it rest until it's doubled in size. We're going to make our filling for our pork pies. So we start off with ground pork. And if you notice, I have not put any fat in the pan because we're allowing the natural fat in the pork. It's going to come through, start to break down, and give us a lovely flavor profile. To this, I'm going to add some salt, some garlic. I'm going to add a little bit of black pepper, some cayenne to give a little bit of a kick, a little bit of fresh thyme. We're also going to add a little bit of green seasoning. Now, green seasoning, depending on the island that you are, it's made up of various different ingredients, but there's a common bound in the sense of it would probably have some sort of green leaf scallion or a little bit of what we call a broadleaf thyme, which is actually a family to the oregano, but it's grown locally through the Caribbean. And we would put some garlic, some onions. In some islands, it's finished with oil, water, or vinegar. And last but not least, we're going to add some cassava. Okay, so now that our pork is cooked, we're going to put it on a flat tray to quickly cool down before we fill our pies. So our dough has rested for 30 minutes, roughly, give or take, sort of doubled, and it's really nice and soft and pliable. So what we're going to do is roll it out, and we're going to cut it and fill it. And now we're going to cut. This is about a 3-inch cutter, round cutter. You just want to rock it back. When you rest your scallop cutter on the dough, you just use a little bit of a back and forth movement to get a beautiful cut. Okay, so now we're going to fill our pie dough, and we put a little bit of the cooked pork to the center. This is room temperature water. It's just very little with your fingertips, or you can use a pastry brush. So you take your index and your thumb and just average halfway through where the fold is going to happen, because sometimes you have to work with the filling. You have to work your way you gently push the filling almost towards the center back. And then we crimp with the base of your fork. Okay, so now we're ready to fry. You don't want to overcrowd the pot, and you want to fry till golden brown. And I would suggest switching, turning it over so you have even coating or even coloring happening on both sides, as well as even cooking happening on both sides. You'll also, as you're turning, you will see that the dough moves from a soft texture in flipping, and you can actually feel the crunchiness as it begins to crisp nicely and coloring. Also, another way of looking at it to see that it's done is it's the moisture that is in the dough and a little bit that's left in the pork, the bubbles start to subside. So you know that you're getting close to taking it out. There you have it, fried pork pies with a mango dough mix.